Have you ever felt admonished? You felt like, man, you deserve that. You had it coming. I think that's what's happening to Israel in Psalm 81. It's an admonishment to the people because they had it coming. But it starts out real positive. The psalmist, which is Asaph again, for the director of music, it's a song of some sort. He's telling them, hey, sing, dance, shout for joy. Play the harp, play the tambourine, make a noise. Ah! Play the horn, trumpet it. On the big feast day, have a big blowout celebration. My decrees is that I have gotten you out of slavery. The ordinances of the God of Jacob. I has established the statute for Joseph, and when he went out against Egypt, where he heard the language we didn't understand, he said, I removed the burden from their shoulders, and their hands were set free from the basket. And in your distress, I rescued you. So celebrate. I answered with a thundercloud, and I tested you in Meribah. Well, that's a lot of noise. Good reason to celebrate. We've been rescued. We're free from slavery. But here's the deal. You haven't listened. You haven't been paying attention. If you would just hear, I would warn you. If you would listen, I would tell you. Don't have foreign gods in your house. If you would, I brought you up out of Egypt, and just open up your mouths and I'll fill it. But you wouldn't listen. So I turned you over to your own devices. You'd rather serve other gods. This is what happens when you do. You would rather not be humble. You would rather be proud. You would rather think riches are more important than God. You would rather think that serving others or serving yourself or serving a government is more important than serving God. You would think that, being mean and pushing yourself around and making your thoughts be known are more important. It's too bad. This is what happens when you think those things. When you think that your own devices are more important than God's, you get beat up. You get admonished. Man, if you would just listen, if you would follow my ways, he says, how quickly I would turn the tables. How quickly your enemies would be subdued, and my hand would be against your foes. Wow. And if you did that, this is the end of the psalm. If you did that, their punishment would last forever, and you would be fed with the finest of wheat. If you would just listen. With honey from the rock that satisfies. God recognizes he's the rock. God recognizes he's the unmovable mover. God recognizes he is the provider for provider. I don't know how to say that. No one needs to give him anything. God provides because he's eternal in resources and power and love and wisdom. And he knows what's best for us. We get in our head sometimes that we think we know better. That if we could just get away from God, that, we got this figured out, Dad. We got it figured out, man. If you would just shut up and get out of my life, I would have it okay. And God said, okay, fine. This is where it gets you. We have to use this and kind of turn it around in our own lives. What is it that we think that is more important than listening to the God that frees? What's more important than listening and heeding to the God that brings salvation, that can provide. He didn't say you're going to have a life full of great things, that every day would be a celebration in this life. No, we would have celebrations, and they come, they go. But what we would have is God's protection and God's provision. But we have to listen to him. And this is certainly an admonishment to the children of Israel. And I think probably in the day of exile, and this is why they were exiled. They just wouldn't listen. We have to think, are we listening to God? Are we listening to his full good advice, or just part of it? Are we picking and choosing? I think sometimes we are. Need to be careful not to. But mostly, we just need to heed what he has for us, and we will reap the rewards that he has for his faithful ones. And all the other garbage we don't have to worry about. At any rate, that's Psalm 81. Quite an admonishment. Kind of reminds me, I think, around Isaiah 55 and 57, in that neighborhood. Isaiah has the same kind of admonishment for the people. So, that's it for Psalm 81. We'll see you next time when we get to the next one. Have a great day. God bless.